You gotta take the pain.
The tip of my tongue is burning.
Got one more.
I got a really fucking hot one.
Yeah. Welcome to the Smores and Doors podcast and a very special episode of the show tonight. My name is Corey, your host, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. Bombastic, Jonathan. Jonathan, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. Super excited for tonight. Can't wait to
Yes.
get into the movie. Hopefully you guys got a bunch of good questions lined up.
Yes, hopefully so. Of course, tonight is our special commentary of the movie Followed with the director Antoine Lee, and we are going to bring Antoine in here shortly. But I want to let you all know that where you can find the movie if you're wanting to watch it with us, and I'm going to post the link to find those sites right here in the chat right now, and I'll go ahead and throw it up on the screen as well. You can go to followedhorrormovie.com/watch now, and there are several options for you there to watch the movie along with us. So
Yeah, I'll be watching on Vudu tonight. So
yes, so will I, and but there are several other options as well. So we'll go ahead and let's bring Antoine in. Antoine, how are you doing tonight?
Hey guys, doing good. How about you guys?
Doing awesome.
great.
Thanks for being on with us.
Yeah, very
No
excited.
problem. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we already got a couple people in the chat. Looks like we got Jess and Hayden.
Yes.
How we doing, fellas?
Thank you guys for being in, and hope you guys are having a good night as well. So we'll give everyone a few minutes to kind of get set up and get their copy ready to go. How are things out in LA, Antoine?
Things are good. It's cold, and
Really?
being in LA, typically we don't get the cold season quite a lot. So it's like it's like about 60 degrees, and to us, like 60 degrees, I need my jacket on. And I know that you guys probably are not the same, right? You probably, it says 60 degrees. I'm gonna put my tank top on.
60 degrees, man. I'm in shorts. Like, I'm ready to go.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, 60 degrees. And I actually have my beanie, my beanie on.
It is
Such an LA thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in 37 degrees in old Kentucky right now.
Jeez. Oh my God. 37 degrees. Holy crap.
So, yeah, it was
37?
down.
I'm not used to that.
Yeah, it was
Not
down
used
close
to that at all.
close to 20 the other night. So yeah.
Jeez. It's funny because I read one of the critics' reviews on Follow, just like, this is totally LA because all those guys there that were wearing beanies during the hot summer. I'm like, yep, that's LA for you.
Yeah, I
Which is
never
pretty
understood
funny.
how people could do that.
Yeah, it's the beanies is not necessarily to cover your head. It's more a fashion statement here, anyway.
Yes.
So
Jess Graham out in the
So,
chat.
yeah.
He used to be out in LA too. Misses the weather there. I think he's in Iowa now. So big change.
gotcha.
And OMG 98 says what's good. It's all good tonight. It's gonna be a good night. So
He's watching on Twitch, it looks like. How about
yeah,
that?
yeah. Yes, we are on YouTube and Twitch and even Periscope. We have some people watching on Periscope occasionally on this channel, which is
that
kind of
not
crazy. I'm sorry.
Wow, believe it or not, I'm actually not very well versed in the whole social media platform aspect, which is funny, right?
Oh, okay.
I've never been that active on
You
social media.
made a film based around social media.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about it, right? And I literally just signed on to Twitter like about 3 months ago. That's about it, right? And then like my Instagrams have been there for years, but I never even touched it.
Wow.
Facebook is
Yeah,
typically like the place that I would just post for family and all of that too. But I'm not really big on social media. It's just the funniest thing ever.
It is. It's an irony, I believe.
OMG says Twitch isn't too bad. We broadcast these shows on Twitch, but I'm not too very well versed in Twitch either. But oh well. Hey, someone's watching on there anyway, so that's good.
Right. Thank you, OMG98.
Yes. So I guess if you guys are ready, we'll go ahead and kick it off, and people watching now can watch with us, and I'm sure that we have a lot of people that watch after we go live too, so they can hit that cue as well.
Yeah,
so
every once in a while I'll go out in the comments and I'll go ahead and put up a time marker, so if you come in late, cool. you can join where we are. So
yes. So
Antoine,
have you ever seen this movie before? I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard some things about it. I heard it was decent, and and all of that. So my first time watching it too. Hopefully it's okay.
In all seriousness,
how
many times do you think you've had to watch this movie start to finish?
I have no idea, man. Ever since we edited it to now, it's got to be over a few hundred times. It was, get to the point that it's like I would like in my sleep, I would know like, okay, that's because like after the editing process, you're so used to it that I would actually play the movie in my head, and I was sleeping in the middle of the night. I would just wake up, put a note. It's like, oh, at minute 47, cut out the two extra seconds when the camera turned to the right. Because things like that, as I'm playing back, I'm like, okay, that's messing with the pacing of it, because the pacing is kind of like the movie's gonna be snappy in a certain area. So I gotta make sure that all it takes is just one extra frame could actually ruin that moment. So keep replaying it in my head over and over again.
Yeah.
So used to it.
Wow. All right, guys. Well, I'll give you a 3, 2, 1, and we'll get started here. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, and here we go.
This will be my third time watching it. So
yeah, I think me too.
I guess
as we kind of get started here, Antoine, I kind of ask you a little question about how the casting process went with this film for you guys.
Sure. So casting wise is we had a general outline of what the story is going to be like and the characters and whatnot, but we didn't have a script at the time. So that's how we started with the casting process, is that we actually would audition people first before we even wrote the script. And the character of Drop the Mic, it was literally, his mannerism and all that, that was a pure creation of Matthew Solomon, the actor, Gotcha. So it's so basically the writer wanted to capture that, his mannerism and everything else, and he wrote the characters based upon what he saw. The funny thing is, Matt Solomon in real life is a completely different person that you see, right? By the way, to this scene right here, if you guys would pause it and play it in slow-mo, when you hear if you were to pause it, you actually see a full face of
okay.
Yeah, but you have to pause it and play it in slow motion to see it, right?
Gotcha.
So there are multiple hit and goes throughout the movie that I put.
Neat.
That's how the casting was, and I still have those videos as well. Those are fun, and so originally we actually had a different actress to play Danny. The role of Danny. She dropped out like about 2 months into it before we even started production. She dropped out because her agent was like, "Hey, why do you want to go? Why do you want to be in a found footage movie? you not going to go anywhere if you're going to found footage." So no, she decided to drop out, and and because of that, I think that later, once we showed our movie and the movie actually went out in theaters and everything else, I know that actress kind of like she felt bad that she wasn't even a part of it. Right? That was a little bit behind the scenes there. in that video. So I'm actually watching it on the second screen here as well.
Okay.
This is the point in the film where I freaked out because I didn't watch a trailer or anything going into it. And I'm like, somebody's actually doing like an Elisa Lamb kind of thing.
Wait, so you were aware of Elisa Lam before watching this movie?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was really deep into that. And then, like I said, I just went into the movie. And I was like, that is so cool. Somebody's finally doing it.
Cool, yeah. I know that while we were in production, there were like 3 other films that were that were doing, that were actually shooting about Elisa Lam as well. One was actually a studio feature by Sony, right? It wasn't found footage; it was something else. It was like the story was about a detective who goes to the hotel to investigate the death of Elisa Lam, and Sony was producing it. Um, and what was his name? I forget that actor's name. The guy from Ant-Man, the guy that's the fast talking guy. Shoot, I forget what his name is.
Michael Piana?
Yes, there you go. Yeah. So he was supposed to star as the lead, and I think what happened was because our movie was already like in production, so that movie gets scrapped. But I know there's like 2 other movies that have to do with Elisa Lam. One is called Elevator Game. They also get scrapped after our movie was already done. And so that was shot actually at the back of my apartment. And if you guys do pay attention to see that the first video, it has a different quality to the rest of the movie, is because we actually shot that 3 months before we shot the movie.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
The Pasadena Bridge, it wasn't even part of the movie in the first place. It was just me screen testing, drop the mic.
Yeah.
But then it was so good that we wound up keeping it.
Now, did you use different like cameras to shoot the drop the mic segments that we're watching as like YouTube videos, and you did like the rest of the film, or was it all the same?
We use the same camera. We just use different filters for it. We use different filters, different style. Our director of photography, he's fantastic. The guy is a genius. So the way that he shot it, he would know that drop the mic, or Sam, sorry, not Sam, Danny and Chris, they like to do the quick zoom. So if the camera's on their perspective, you're going to see a lot of quick zooming, right? So each of them has a specific style of shooting that but it all done by RDP. None of the actors actually shot any of this movie, right?
See, that's something I would have never thought about. It's like giving the cameraman his own personality just through the camera.
I have a question here from Jess. I don't think you did, but he asked if you actually shot at the Cecil Hotel.
We wanted to. We actually, true story. We actually went to the Cecil Hotel, and we told them that we want to shoot a movie, a comedy. They were really happy. They were like sitting down. They rolled out the red carpet for us, right? And then as we described the movie and we started talking about the elevator game, they're like, "Whoa! Is this a horror movie or is it a comedy?" And I told them that no, it's actually a horror movie. At that point, like all of their faces turned white. Literally, they're like, "Get the fuck out!" It's so funny, right? Like no joke, because they were just like, "Hey, not At that time, the movie, the show Hotel with Lady Gaga was also very popular. So the hotel got frequented by a lot of fans. So if you guys watch the movie, the scene where we actually encounter the security guard and everything else, because all of that events actually happened in real life when we actually went to the Hotel Cecil, just to for research, right? So in Hotel Cecil, it after we visited the hotel, we actually stayed there for half a night. We actually did have to sage ourselves before we got home, because the hotel was truly haunted, for real. So it was pretty crazy. But no, long story short, we did not shoot it at the hotel. We had to shoot at 2 different hotels. One has only 4 floors and one has 14 floors. So if you guys do pay attention, you'll see that some of the floors look very different, because 2 hotels are extremely different. They are completely different from one another. Which is one we use interior, one we use exterior, and for the hallway.
Cool. Thanks for your question, Jess.
Yeah, thank you. And I do want to ask about something because, you know, you see this in reviews of the movie all the time is the personality of Mike himself. But that, I feel like that's purposeful, that he is annoying, basically, and he's this over-the-top YouTube personality. At least that's the way it came off to me. And that's what I always see people go to. It's like, I didn't like Mike. Well, it's like, I don't think you're supposed to like Mike, right? Like, he's supposed to be.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the inspiration, like we didn't want it to base him on any particular existing, you know, YouTuber, but or vlogger. If you look at, you know, I'll you know, say Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whatever, right? Like those guys, you know, to tell the truth, I don't watch their videos and they make me cringe, right? But the fact of the matter is they got millions of followers. And I did, you know, after I made the movie, or I did watch a couple of their clips. I have to say it was weirdly entertaining in a sense. Like I hated him, right? I hated him. I could not stand him. But at the same time, I felt like I kept on wanting to watch, you know, what the hell the next subject is going to be, right? And that was the sort of thing that I wanted to have with Mike, which is he's supposed to be annoying. He's supposed to be over the top. You're not supposed to like him. You know? But I want him to be a likable jerk. And in the I wouldn't call it the director's cut version, but in the you know, there's a much longer cut of this, which is more of a character study cut, I call it, where we actually would have drop the mic characters, like drop his personality and basically interacting like you know, the character of Mike. You know, so there's a scene with him like being very sweet with his fiance and all of that. So we had all of that, right? But when we played it, it basically turned the movie from a horror to a character study. And the pacing just wasn't for it. I mean, it was still a scary movie, and you know, but it was more like a coming of age story, right? So we figure we cut all of that out. So yes, I do. You know, it was a risk. We knew that there's a lot of people that would be turned off right away, but that was the point. The key is that if you stick with them for at least 30 minutes in, you know, yeah, you may not like him, but at least, you know, you might feel, you know, I guess some sort of sympathy towards it, like, you know, why he's doing what he's doing. Right. So deep down, he's just another person, just like you and I. He just has a different personality to get viewers. That's it. That's all. That's all it is. But yeah, like his character is over the top.
Well, I'm assuming, you know, I obviously don't know Logan Paul and those guys, you know, off camera, but I'm assuming they're probably pretty similar to that, you know, all the time.
Right. Yeah, did you hear about the video of you know, there was this one video, I think it's from Logan Paul, that was very controversial, that he almost got canceled because of that. That's when he went to the suicide forest in Japan, and he actually filmed an actual suicide victim, right? It was just irresponsible. It was just, you know, and that was, you know, and that happened after we filmed the movie. And we were just like, oh my God, like, you know, at least Drop the Mic wouldn't do something like that. Right? But then on the same token, hey, you know, like they still have millions of followers. They do make millions a year, you know, being that.
He's got something figured out that I don't. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So.
and you know, like one thing that I still try to figure out nowadays as well, like even up to this date, is that do these YouTube personalities, do they have an actual personality? You know, when they drop their bravado, or are they the same or whatnot? You know, that's something that I always wonder myself. Because I'm pretty sure that's not. You know.
I kind of got that from Mike. You know, later on in the film, it kind of seems like his friends are like, "Hey, man, drop it like it's us here.
Exactly.
You don't have to be that way right now."
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it was, you know, and also, like later on in the film, he would seem to be, you know, even when he dropped his character, he still has that, you know, witty comebacks here and there. It's just because, you know, like sometimes when you're really fearful of something, you try to act otherwise. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know, I can tell you that when I did research for the film, like at 3 a.m., I would actually walk around my apartment backyard back in the day. That was really dark, and I was trying to see in terms of what would scare me. And I actually find myself acting stupid. I was actually finding myself, you know, rapping, singing, or whatever, you know, cracking jokes. And all of that's because of the fact that I was scared out of my mind, right? So I was just like trying to act otherwise. So that was that's what I wanted for him to do as well.
Yeah, I think you get a little break in the in his persona right here in this car scene.
Yeah.
So
The car scene was supposed to be a little bit longer as well. The story is creepier in the uncut version, but again, pacing is so important. I had to cut it. But yeah, the story goes that he was staying with his uncle at a Victorian architecture sort of place. It was like a really old building, and there was a boy, and there's like a whole backstory of what happened to the boy, blah blah. But we cut all of that out due to pacing reason. Right? So that's why the story is a little shortened when you actually watch this.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love his acting over here when he's just like laughing. Dropping.
Yeah. Ooh, Hayden had a question there for you.
oh. Here's a question from our friend Hayden. You think I'll ever release the uncut version?
Good question. We thinking about it. It all depends on, demand really. And if I'm because obviously the uncut version or the director's cut version, it wouldn't be ready as is. I would need to recut it. I would need to, add more things to it as well. But it does have, the uncut version is more, I guess, traditional found footage more than anything. Because, the movie is actually a mixture between found footage and screen live, right? The uncut version would be more traditional, found footage because there'll be like uncut sequences where they're not really filming, where they actually would they were discussing what happened. Like, if you recall the first night when the door opened, the next morning they actually did discuss that. Like, hey, what happened to the door? Like, why did it open? And so on and so forth. So those are the things that we had in the original uncut version, but like I said, it just wasn't right for the pacing. But yeah, it all depends on demand, really. Eventually I would, but I'm not entirely sure yet. If there is a demand, I can convince our distributor to spend some money for some extra, post production costs, so we can actually not film anything extra, but we can actually put in some effects here and there or whatnot. But yeah, I would actually be interested in the uncut version as well. Like, in fact, I'm even thinking of an alternate version of it, not and have someone else direct it, not me. But this is maybe something online, which is like, it's the same story, right? But now instead of being shot as a found footage, but it will be more like a traditional film. And that film is about them going to the hotel. The film is about what happens behind the scene with these characters.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So that you would know exactly what they see. I know, like, part of the movie, we implied it, but we never really showed it. It's that, and I'm not sure, not a lot of people would notice, but these guys, when they see the ghost in the hotel, right? When they see the ghost in person, the ghosts look like humans. They don't look, all that, with all the static effects or anything like that, right? So they look like regular people, just look strange, but regular people. And that's why these guys, they never had any doubt, whether or not it was a ghost. But only through the camera can they see that the cameras get glitches or like there's like a shadow, it looks like even CGI, so to speak. That's because the camera made it happen. So I wanted to show the other side of it, where these guys actually would encounter the real Megan Kim, for example, in the elevator. That she looks normal. She doesn't look like a ghost like in the movie, right? Yeah. So that was another thing that I want to do, but like I said, time and effort. So we'll see.
Is there I guess like a Blu-ray or something like that in the works though?
Yes. Our distributor is planning a Blu-ray release, I think end of January at this point.
Yeah. Day one, so I'm there.
Yeah.
I think I afford it a little bit. Where are you guys at now?
I am at 1703.
Yeah, that's where I was too.
There you go. That makes sense.
My favorite characters in the whole film are Danny and Jess, I think. Is that right? Yes, Jess.
Yeah. By the way, are you if Jess looks familiar, Jess, the character, I mean the actor that plays Jess, she's actually Miss Ohio 2016. 2016 or 15, I forget. Yeah, she's Miss America. I think she was run up for Miss America. She was Miss Ohio for that too. So she's a beauty pageant. They both Jess and or the actor's name is Kelsey Griswold. So Kelsey and Sam, who auditioned for Danny, they both auditioned for the character of Danny and Jess, and it was really hard to decide between them two because they were both good. However, Sam, it's just like Sam likes to run. He's very athletic, so that's part of the reason we picked her as that. And the reason I picked Kelsey as Jess is because I wanted to know which character would actually break my heart if they were to die a horrible death, right? So I looked at Jess. I'm like, man, she's so innocent. There's nurse. There's loving wife, whatever. If she would have died, that would break people's heart.
Yeah.
So that's how I chose her.
I have a question here from Al. I guess besides Followed, your film, do you have a favorite found footage film?
I wouldn't. Yes. I would guess. Favorite. It changes between on the time, but I think one movie that keeps on coming back to would be Chronicle. Keep in mind, before I made Followed, I did not see a lot of found footage movies. I saw, I think, a total of 6 found footage. And, full disclosure, guys, I did not like found footage at all. I didn't even, before embarking on the project, I wasn't a fan of found footage. And the reason being is because, I like the whole cinematic type of movies. You know what I mean? Like I like the scores. I like the fancy angles and all of that stuff. That to me, I think that feels more like cinema to me, right? So I never really liked found footage. I mean, I respected found footage. Right? I respected Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch Project. I thought it was amazing. It was genius. But I think the movie that was closest that I really liked as a found footage was Chronicle, which I think it was one of the inspiration as well. Because Chronicle is a Hollywood feature. Although it's found footage, it's filmed like a traditional movie. And one way that they can get away from that is because the characters have superpowers, so they can move the cameras around. I thought it was an amazing way to cheat, to actually have different angles. So that was my favorite found footage, and I think it still is. Now, after making Followed, I've been catching up on a whole bunch of found footage. So I can tell you that Hell House, obviously, who doesn't like Hell House, right? Hell House is really, I think it's a near masterpiece. Right? Lake Mungo, that also it's one of the movies that really stuck with me for days on end. Recently, Death of a Vlogger, also, it's also something that I loved as well. So those are my found footage films.
Searching.
Forget Searching.
Oh, Searching.
Searching is a masterpiece.
Yeah. I've always said I wasn't a big found footage fan, but then there's always a movie that comes up that kind of pulls me back into watching them. So
I've told you I love them all. I think. I mean, I love the intimacy you get. There's a couple things. The intimacy you get from a found footage film where you kind of feel like you're just with some friends hanging out. And
right.
Second, the suspension of disbelief is already halfway taken care of for you. You're not trying to create this world where this could happen. You're just watching a video of it happen.
Yes.
Right.
That's what makes it so scary.
Yeah, and if the acting it's good, it makes it seem very real as well, right? And
absolutely.
That's something that only found footage can do. But yeah, it's like the genre really grow on me, and I really wanted to innovate it. So for the sequel to Followed, I don't know. I'm still not sure whether we should do in found footage or non-found footage as far as sequels is concerned. Like I know that we're working on a sequel for Followed, right? That's not a secret. But I'm not sure in terms of what format it should be in.
Well, Blair Witch went the other way, and they did a non-found footage film to the sequel, and I love the sequel to Blair Witch. So I love seeing it switch up. So. Yeah.
I have not seen it though. I mean, I know it was critically panned, and it was also a box office failure as well. But I think now, like the conversation's coming back, like people are starting to check it out again.
It's a fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to answer Piz's question here that you did talk about that earlier, that you were initially going to try to shoot there, but they
Yeah,
weren't
we
fond of
stayed there
horror.
for the first. Yeah, we stayed there for the first night. Well, we left halfway through it, but yeah, like we stayed there so we could find out, what it felt like. And I can tell you that the atmosphere is so it's like this there's this heavy air. I'm not sure how to describe it, right? It's just stuffy in a sense. Like, and there's always, and again, the building is old, but there are always noises, like noises that you don't know where they came from, and weird noises. And that's why in the movie I try to replicate those noises as well, right? But the noises are there, and it's just I don't know. You just have a dark and gloomy feel, to it once you're actually in it. You just don't feel safe, right? And that's what we had to say to ourselves after that. But yeah, I took footage of the real Cecil Hotel when we did the research as well. It is creepy, for sure.
I mean, you had mentioned it. Is it hard to get a room at the Cecil? Is there so many like people like flocking to that place to kind of see if they can stay
No.
overnight?
No, not really. It was because so the Cecil changed its name to Stay on Main, like 4 years ago. So a lot of people weren't aware of it, and the room's always available, and they're pretty cheap. It's still considered as a budget hotel for tourists. So like you get a room for a night for like $80, right? And that's really cheap because it's in downtown LA.
Yeah.
It's literally in the heart of downtown LA. So. Yeah, so you can still get it, and I think it was closed for the year 2017 and 18. I think it was closed for 2 years, and then from what I heard is it just recently got reopened.
Oh,
yeah, it still has the name of Stay on Main. If you guys do visit LA, by all means, go check it out. Check out the hotel.
I gotta see where Ramirez used to hang out.
Yeah, well, there haven't been any. Yeah, well, I think there was one. What happened after? Obviously, Elisa Lam is the most famous event, but after her, there was like 2 or 3 other incidents. They just weren't as newsworthy. Like, for example, there was one incident where, an emergency ambulance was called, and then one of the paramedic, walked in, and then he was trying to rescue somebody, and the next thing you know, he came out and he did not remember what happened in there. He's like, I have no idea. Like, I just blacked out. I came in and now I'm blacked out, right? So people didn't believe it because they like, how could that be? Right? But there are events that have been happening there, here and there. They're just not as, I guess, publicized as the Elisa Lam story. But yeah, do check it out. I think it's pretty cool. Just come with them. Just go with a friend. Go with a friend.
Do you have a personal theory on the Elisa Lam story? What happened?
Okay, all right, true story, right? So this is strange. So I don't have a personal theory. I really don't know. It's so hard. Like I can't even guess what it could be. But so this is true story. About a year after I made Followed, and again at that time Followed hasn't been out yet. We just finished with the final cut. We went to film festivals and so on and so forth, but it is not widely known yet. I went to a birthday party, for a friend, and I met a lady there, like an older lady who I've never met before. And, she started talking to me, and she's like, hey, you have a movie, right? I'm like, oh, great. And my friend told you. She's like, no, nobody told me anything. I don't know who you are. Because it turns out that she was a psychic, some sort of a psychic. So she's like, oh, no, I could just tell. Like, I'm like, that's weird. So then me and her, we started talking, and I did mention to her that I was, that we did the movie, that had the based on the Cecil Hotel. And then she's like, by the way, I talked to Elisa. I'm like, what do you mean? You talked to her before she died? I was like, no, I talked to her after she died. Again, I don't know whether to believe her or not. And I told like, so what happened? She's like, well, all I can tell you that it involves more than one person, and no, it is not entirely human. Right? And I'm like, well, can you tell me more? And again, she might have just wanted to scare the shit out of me. But she's like, no, I cannot tell you because that's very irresponsible of me. If you really want to know, then you have to sign something. Like she basically asked me to sign a piece of paper. I was saying that if something would happen to me, I could not hold her accountable, right?
Yeah, I'd be like, nah, I'm good.
She's like, no. Don't. I'm begging you. Don't ask about Elisa Lam. Because the moment that you know about the story and you really want to know, you got to be in their world. And that is, your life will completely change. I'm like, okay, forget it. Even if I wasn't, I'm not superstitious, but I'm like, okay, well, curiosity killed the cat. I'm like, I'm not gonna be the cat. So, but a lot of the things that she actually, at that time that she basically anticipated, it happened to come true, which is really strange. Like, for example, she said, your movie will be the #1 movie in America, the box office. I laughed. I was like, no way. I was like, dude, like at that time we didn't even get distribution yet. So we're like, dude, we would be lucky to be out of theaters, let alone be #1. So, that's how I knew that she lied. And again, every single thing she said came true. It came true 2 years after that, which is like, I'm like, holy crap, it's strange.
So that day, did you kind of think about that? Like after you got the news that the film is #1, was that like one of the first things you thought about? Was like, oh my god, that woman is right.
Yeah, that's it. The first, I'm like, holy crap, she was right. She called it. It was so funny. She called it. Right? It's just crazy. So,
not to change the subject, but a minute ago, actually probably a couple minutes ago now, one of my favorite shots of the film was the drone footage of downtown LA. That was absolutely gorgeous.
Mine too. That was one of my favorite shots too. I love it.
Yeah,
Thank
I was
you.
watching the first time I watched it, in the living room, the big, on the 4K TV, and I was like, my god, this film looks good for the budget.
Yeah, talk about something you couldn't have done several years ago with the budget you had.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, and that's what I meant by like that. I had those shots in there, like I had those scenes written just for those shots. It's just because like I mentioned, it's like I prefer my movie to be like a traditional way, like even as a found footage with the music and all that. And that's why I like my pretty shots. I like the shots dedicated to the downtown LA, and I like the melancholic music accompanying it, and that's why it became one of my favorite shots too that I did.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Thank you.
All right, now it's getting creepy in here. How do you do that, Antoine? I gotta ask about that. How do you open the door? Like, is there a string and it's edited out in post?
It is so simple, you guys wouldn't believe it. It's so freaking simple. You ready? I don't want. Yep. I mean, I'm not sure that I should ruin it, but it's literally I have another person behind the door. Just open the door.
I've always wondered that.
Well, obviously I had to hide him, right? So he had to be behind it, but like I timed the angle so that the door, like when his hand goes in and open the door, you wouldn't be able to see it, So we didn't use any special effects. There's literally a person behind the door, right? So it's not as complicated. It's just the way that I picked the shot. Oh, and pay attention to the like the camera that's placed in the room as you see that as the days go by. So at first the camera, the stationary camera of the room was always at the even, right? But then as day 2, it basically tilts a little bit. Day 3, it tilts a little bit more, right? So it doesn't, you can't really tell, but it gives you that anxiety effect, I guess, right? To it. So
now you have a pretty freaky story about this scene here, don't you?
Yes,
is this
here.
The one? Yes.
Yes, this is it. All right, guys. So this I will definitely release this clip. Sooner or later I will. But anyway, so the shot that just happened where Drop the Mic opened the door and he puts in the drone. So in the actual shot, when he puts the drone, he actually says a line up. It's okay, little baby. He called the drone his little baby. So like, it's okay, little baby. When we were editing it, when he says it's okay, little baby, we heard a loud ass baby crying on camera. I mean, on like basically directly to the camera's microphone. And let me tell you, that is absolutely impossible for it to happen because we had 20 people on set. The set was quiet. We had the sound designer. I had my headphones on so I could pick up every single sound. And if there's any small sounds whatsoever, the camera and the microphone would pick up. I would hear and I would call cut, right? There was obviously nothing. So So then when we were editing it, and again, when we looked at the file, the sound is in the file. So the question is, how the hell did that sound even get in of a baby crying? And it was like literally on cue. Mike said, "It's okay, little baby." Yeah, like the baby full on crying. And up to this day, we have no idea how to explain that. And I will release it as part of the I guess behind the scenes. Right? And by the way, that basement is true. It is also haunted in real life. When we went there for location scout, the security guard of that particular hotel, he was supposed to walk us through the basement, but he's like, "No, guys, I get the door open. You guys can go ahead and then do your stuff. Do your location scout, and I'm not setting foot there." I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "I've been here for 7 years. This place is fucking haunted. I'm not setting foot in there. You guys want to do it? Do it. I'm not doing it." That was a security guard. That was so funny. So in the movie shoot, I actually had to hire extra people to manipulate the basement so that the actors wouldn't feel too scared, or at least people would actually feel safe, because the basement was truly dark. And it is there's a found footage cliche of camera glitches. I kid you not, guys, camera did actually glitch down there a few times. So some of the glitches that happen down in the basement are not done by us. They're done by the cameras themselves. The camera did it without us, right, doing anything. So that's real.
That is wild.
That's babysitter.
Oh, and I had a question just because I'm curious about it. The drone shot where he puts the drone into the basement. Is that, I'm guessing that's like a Steadicam kind of rig? Is that how y'all did that, or?
Yeah, it was a Steadicam. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to use a drone in down there.
No, I didn't figure.
Yeah, we basically just use one of the Steadicam. We put the cameras on it, and then we fly as if it was a drone.
Yeah.
And this is another story point. It has nothing to do with being scary or anything, but and this goes to show, for the filmmakers out there, is that being a nice person goes a long way, right? And I'll tell you, this story is freaking awesome. So in our production crew, there was this PA, and he is autistic, right? He's autistic. He's slow. He's the type that it's like, I know that he means well, but it's just the way he was. He could do anything. So, for example, when our writer asked him to, hey, watch this, watch the street, make sure that people don't, cross the scene or anything like that. That's part of his job as PA. He's just like, "No, I don't want to talk to people." And then the writers, "Wait, are you fucking kidding me?" It's like, so it's like, so the crew, a lot of the crew were not mean to him, but like they kind of ignored him because he didn't do anything. He didn't bring anything to the show. So he was actually really sad, and he wanted to leave the film. And I basically sat him down, like, "Look, man, everybody here is nice. We just like really, we're low budget film. We have to do it with the time that we allowed to. So sorry if people were nice to you. It just, they didn't mean to." So anyway, fast forward to the very last day of shoot. The camera that we have, there's the Steadicam that would hold it, for the drone shot. That is a specially made model that there's only a few made in the world, right? So it just so happened the very last day of the shoot, we needed the drone shot, and and the Steadicam broke. It broke. And it's like, I was scratching my head. I'm like, "Man, I need this Steadicam shot for the drone," and I didn't have one. And the DP could not find one. He's like, "Dude, it's pointless. You have to either buy a new camera or buy a new, or to get a different Steadicam. But this Steadicam does not work. And there's only one model that I know of here in the U.S." And guess what? At that time, that PA, he's like, "Wait, I have the same one in the trunk of my car." I'm like, "What?" It's like, "Yes, I bought it in Japan years ago as a souvenir, and I always carry it with me." And guess what?
Wow.
He saved the set. He saved us. And this is the guy that, all for the entire shoot, everybody's like, "Man, we would move even faster if he didn't hold us back." Like, people wanted to fire him, and I had to fight to keep him on because he's just a good guy. But anyway, that it turns out to help, But that's just a little story of, being nice goes a long way, and how it can actually save you. Yeah. Oh, the elevator sequence.
Now, is this the actual elevator game that's been passed around? Is this how it works, or did y'all make up different rules?
You know, that is supposedly how the rules work. We never tried it, but it's fun. If you guys go on YouTube and you type in elevator game, you will see there are literally, dozens, if not hundreds, of vloggers just like Drop the Mic, and doing the same thing. They would do the elevator challenge as well. They would live stream themselves. So just go YouTube, type in elevator game, and I'm pretty sure you see like a ton of videos. The funny thing is that we never watch any of those until after the movie. We're like, oh my god, people did this, which is pretty awesome.
Quick question from Hayden. I don't think you mentioned what cameras did you use to shoot this film?
The Sony A7.
Okay.
Sony A7. It's the camera that looks like an actual SLR camera.
Gotcha.
It is amazing how far cameras have come.
Yeah.
I know, right? Jeez. Oof. I like this.
Yeah, see, at that point, I'm no longer in a hotel.
Yeah.
I'm on the street, in the car.
Yeah, it was pretty tough shooting the elevator sequence too, because the hotel we shot at, it was a fully functional hotel, and we could only shut down the elevator for like 10 minutes at a time, right? So it was really tough. People walking in and out, and like, dude, I need to build up the mood. So we actually had to do several cuts. But then that goes help us because like some of the lights flickering, it was not planned. Well, we planned it, but we didn't, but it happened anyway. You know what I mean? We planned to do it. We were trying to see what happened, and it turned out what it happened anyway.
Had a nice helpful ghost. I mean, it is LA. I mean, it's possible that ghost worked in film somewhere. So
yeah, you know.
It sounds like a lot of interesting, positive coincidences happened for you. So maybe had Elisa Lamb kind of pulling some strings for you behind the scenes.
Yeah, remember that psychic lady that I told you guys about? She actually said that too. She's like, hey, the only thing that Elisa is asking of you to do is to be respectful, and if you do end up, making money or being, famous or whatever it is, just promise that you do good in life, and otherwise she'll haunt you. Like absolutely, right? Obviously, I didn't
yes,
believe
ma'am.
but it's funny too. Like when before we released, obviously, I'm spiritual. The rest of the team, they basically, they're not religious or anything like that, but we all pray, when the movie get released. And one of the people that we not necessarily pray to, but we pay respect to, was Elisa Lam. We're like, hey, just to let you know that we're doing this. We did not want to exploit your tragedy or anything like that. We just, we wanted to do it justice in a sense that we don't make you look bad. It's just more like it's a tragedy what happened. So we actually did do that. We actually, sage ourselves when we set that to the altar before we released the movie, the day of the release. Yeah, for luck. See, and the scene where Chris said, "Is it another earthquake?" It probably not doesn't make a lot of sense when the door, because the scene that I cut out. Yeah, so in the morning, Nick would actually tell him, "Hey, did you guys see the video? Your door was opening, and then the bathroom door was flickering." And then Mike said, "Well, it must have been an earthquake. It's an LA thing." Right? So that's why he says, "Okay, is that another earthquake?" But obviously, we cut it, so people didn't see it. Yeah, I really wanted to use Jess more. All right, the character of Jess, because she's so sweet. She's a wonderful actress too. Wonderful actress. Definitely want to work with her again. In a different project. And the sound in the background, the the beep sound that I always use. I'm not sure you guys notice that, but I get that inspiration from Christopher Nolan actually. What is that movie? Shoot, I forgot. Dunkirk. So if you watch Dunkirk, you see that there's a lot of that sound that it does. It basically builds up. It builds the anxiety. I call it an anxiety-inducing sound, and that's what I got inspired by, and that's why I put it in this movie.
Yeah. And Jess, I guess you might have missed this part. She didn't tell him because he might have been in danger too.
Yeah. So we don't ask.
Yeah, the medium. Yeah, she said there was obviously more than one person involved, but so she'd say if you really want to know, you have to sign a form, a disclosure saying that something would happen to you I'm not responsible for, and that the moment you go down the rabbit hole, you can't get out. For lack of a better word. So I chose not to know. I was like, forget it, I'm not gonna know. I'd rather keep this curiosity rather than have something, even if it was real or fake, whatever. Bad juju.
Yeah.
So I decided to not know. And
also,
it was strange because I don't know how the family was actually suing the hotel, and then something happened behind the scene. No one knew because all of a sudden they just announced that, hey, we're no longer pursuing the case. We are satisfied with the LAPD's investigation.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, it's so weird because in one day they're like, my God, there's some foul play. We need to get to the bottom of it. The hotel's responsible because how is it that this girl can climb into the rooftop, but it's not safe, blah, blah, blah. All of that. A week later, they're like, okay, we're happy with the findings. And what were the findings was that she died by drowning. Like, really? It doesn't explain how she can even get into the tank and then just take her clothes off and then drown. Yeah, she does have bipolar, but I even read, a psychologist's report, which is, yes, even extreme cases of bipolar is not like that. She's more hallucinating. So anyway, they explained there was never a clear explanation, and I don't know why. The family just said okay without pursuing any legal courses of action. And it just died. So that it's the whole thing is just a huge mystery to me, and I think that's why I was so intrigued by it.
Yeah. Another question from Jess out there. You talked about shooting at 2 hotels. Can you say which ones?
Yes, the Hayward. You can Google it. The Hayward in downtown LA. Just find in Hayward Manor. That is the name. But you can just type in Hayward Manor, and then the other one is called. Shoot, I forgot. That name is very. Hold on, I actually have to look up my own film because we actually have that right on our IMDb page as well. The name is right on the tip of my tongue. It's a hotel in downtown. I'm sorry, in Koreatown, in fact.
Is it Hotel Linux?
No, well, Linux is what we call. No, Linux is something that we came up with. But the hotel's name is Hayward and
Normandy.
Oh, by the way, that was also another one of my favorite shots of the movie. Normandy, there you go. That's it. The Normandy.
By the way,
Normandy, which is a fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I love the way the exit light.
The red light.
Love it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I saw that and I told my DP, I'm like, look, we got to take advantage of that light right there. Because we had the scene stage as the guy's gonna, pop his head backwards, but we didn't know where we should put it. And then the light came. I was like, oh shoot, this is beautiful. Let's do that. Right?
Please tell me that's like a cow.
But yeah, it was a cow tongue, a real life cow tongue. Those are all real maggots and everything else too.
Locally sourced, of course.
Yeah.
Organic.
Yep, it is locally sourced. It's funny because the movie is in China, like I think I'm not sure whether it's still in the final version, but in the other version it says, "Where'd you get this from? Chinatown?" Which is true. We actually did get it from Chinatown. No joke. The PA actually went to Chinatown that morning to grab the cow tongue and a whole bunch of maggots to put them on, and all of the entrails and all that. Too.
We don't have a maggot guy in our town, so.
So if you recall this rooftop here, this rooftop is actually the rooftop of the smaller hotel, not the Haywards. You just mentioned the name, and I forgot.
The Normandy.
The Normandy, right? So that's the rooftop of the Normandy, which is only like 4 floors, right? It's only 4. So the Normandy looks a hell of a lot nicer. So that's what we use it for interior. But the rooftop, like I tried to cheat it in the sense that I only shot angles that are higher up, so that way it looks like they are really 14 floors and up. But they're not.
It fooled me.
There you go. That day was pretty cool. That was a cool day. I remember that day. Shoot. It's like that was the one day that we almost went overtime, but we didn't. And the person playing Nick, she's also a method actor. So in preparation for this scene, for her losing her shit, she actually, she did not sleep for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
She surrounded herself with bad thoughts. It's crazy. When she came on, I'm like, "Wow, Nick, you look." Caitlin, you look ready, and she wasn't even smiling. She went full on Christian Bale. It was so funny. But she's a talented actress.
She yelled at a lighting guy.
It'll be on the bonus features too.
Actually, so after this scene was shot, drop the mic. Matt actually yelled at me because I kept on wanting to retake because I was like, okay, I need her to break down even further. Retake. So then Matt actually got worried because Matt got concerned for her health. It's like, Antoine, you gotta stop it. She's really not doing well. And then, I had to pull her aside. She's like, no, I'm good. I'm just in my character. So funny. But Matthew is he's also a very caring guy, in real life too. Which is funny. I actually asked him to play an asshole, and he played it very well. But he's so nice of a person. You couldn't ask for a better person.
I did want to say that I think one of the reasons I've always had issues with found footage is I don't really care for the shaky cam thing, and you guys did it in a way that's you don't have that, and it's so well shot, and I appreciate that aspect.
Thank you. And actually, that is I call it the Paul Greengrass effect. Paul Greengrass, right? The director of the Bourne Ultimatum and Bourne Supremacy and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul Greengrass, fantastic Oscar-winning director. He made the 9/11 movie. Flight. Shoot, I forgot that name. He also made Bourne is his claim to fame. But if you recall the Bourne trilogy, especially part 2 and 3, a lot of them are handhelds. In fact, the majority, 90% of the films are handhelds, right? So it's very documentary look, and that's his style. But the action, although it's all shaky, you don't feel the dizziness of it. It's because of the fact that he has this rule that he never wrote about it, but I realized that is actually let's catch a scene first. I definitely want to see this. By the way, there's one hit and goes here. I'm not sure everybody saw it, but you actually would have to pause it. It's like in the first glitch. Let me see. Hold on, not yet. Yep. So the first time, right there, he's by the door. The hidden ghost is by the door. You can't really see it until you pause it. Yep. By the way, the hidden ghost is our producer.
Oh, okay.
It's our producer Matt Brubaker, and we actually shot that after when we got home. We actually shot it in my house. In fact, like I basically had him dress in black and just do this, right? So I just shot him and basically did some special effects. Anyway, so yeah, so back to what was it? Oh yeah, so Paul Greengrass. So basically, how he did it, if you look at all of the Bourne Supremacy and Bourne action sequences, they look to be all over the place, right? But they never all over the place. And one trick that I noticed that he did was that he always ended the shot, at something that a human eye can catch. So, for example, the shot of them fighting. So at the end of the shot of the guys punching, right? The camera zooms into an object being felt up, being on the ground. So your eyes paid attention to that. So even prior to that, your mind might have been confused by, oh shit, what's going on? Am I getting dizzy? But the very last shot that ends that sequence is a static shot of an object being dropped. So that way your mind resets. You see what I'm saying? So your mind resets, and then boom, the next thing you can have a shaky again, but your mind can take it. Right, so that's at least that's my theory anyway. So that's when I shot this film. That's what I did. Is I basically told the DP that whatever shot that you end with, it's got to be continuous. It's got to be end and static. So that way it would reset the whole shaky thing. So that's why you don't feel the shakiness of it. It's because it's planned in that particular sense. I call it the Paul Greengrass effect.
Nice. Another question here. How did you come up with fourth wall breaks, as in the mystery person posting the videos?
I just, it's because I treated the whole thing as if this was a live vlog. I mean, this is the real vlog online, and you are you actually are seeing the movement of someone that's posting it, right? So, for example, I think the movie Unfriended, which is very similar. Unfriended, or even Searching. Well, actually, Searching at the time, I only watched Searching recently. So at the time when I filmed this film, I only watched Unfriended was another found footage that I saw. So Unfriended, the whole time I was asking, who's watching it? Was it the girl, the main girl, or what's going on, right? I'd always ask what it is, like, why am I watching this? Like,
Right.
So that was how I came up with the idea that you as an audience, so I'm tricking you guys. I'm telling you guys that, hey, this is a real footage that someone is uploading it. And by having a shadowy figure putting it basically puts your mind at an unease, starting point, which is like you're always questioning, who is it that I'm watching? Who's leading me to watch these shows, right? These streams. So that's how I came up with it. I was like, you got to have one on that. I know there's a little cheesy when you hear the loud breathing and all of that, but what can you do, right?
Yeah, but you almost have to have that.
I'm sorry?
I was going to say, you almost have to have that to kind of remind people when we get into these long stretches that there's still somebody watching this. So it's completely warranted.
Right. And it's like, I came up with the ending before I came up with the beginning. And it's like, I always wanted the ending to be, as it ends and everything else, it zooms out, like the guy leans in and you see, he's a ghost, whatever. I always want that leaning in, a shot. Right. So the only way to do a lean in that would actually make sense is if he is, he has a camera pointed at him. And if he has a camera pointed at him, that means he had to be live streaming something. Mm-hmm. And because of that, that's how I basically connected the dots. Like, okay, that's how I broke the fourth wall, which is like have somebody upload to YouTube. Upload it to the box.
Next, just a quick question. You had mentioned that in the longer cut of the film, his backstory is so creepy. Oh my god! It just like when you're watching that with like really loud speakers, it'll scare the crap out of you. But you had mentioned his backstory is a little more fleshed out, I guess. Yeah. Is this still around the time in the film that we start to sense that he had some family history of trauma? Or
no, I mean, like with the no, it would still be, that was still the break in the movie that we actually had in the third act. That's when we know. So we didn't lead you to believe that he was part of the hotel. But I'm talking about backstory. It's not necessarily backstory, but it's more like the, like you see drop the mic and then you see the actual mic, right? So you would actually, so the longer cut will be like, oh, this is drop the mic, blah, 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 and then cut. And then he's like back to normal. All right, guys, did we get the shot, right? Oh, and then he's supposed to be really sincere with his friend too. Like, hey, guys, thank you for doing this with me. This is really wonderful. You guys are doing. You guys are great friends, right? So things that basically humanize him, that when he dropped his guard, to show that, hey, drop the mic is just a personality. But like I said, we had to cut it just because, like I said, the pace was just different. It was just a completely different movie. So like I said, if I am going to have a director's cut, I'll probably cut it differently to make it even, to make it creepier. We'll see.
Nice.
Is that an actual camera that you guys filmed on? Just curious. That's cool.
That was one of the actual cameras. Yes, that was actually an actual camera. I think that was an actual camera that we used to shoot. In fact.
Thank you, Al. So this is a cool stream. We appreciate it.
What happened?
Al said it's a cool stream tonight, so we appreciate you watching.
Cool. Awesome.
It's always cool, to be able to get some behind the scenes stories about some movies that you enjoy. So
is it like a grape? I can't handle eyeball stuff.
Really?
I have issues with teeth stuff.
Yes. Really like the dentist movies, Corey.
I was thinking about the scene in Stir of Echoes when I don't know if you remember that part.
I've never seen. I love these two old ladies.
I've seen Stir of Echoes some time ago. Yeah, these old ladies. One of them recently passed. The one in the front.
Oh man.
She recently passed. She's actually, believe it or not, she's actually Hollywood royalty back in the day. Like now she's only in like bits and pieces and all that, but she's part of the Academy members, and she was, she had pretty big roles back in the day as well. India Summers, India is her name, and she really nice lady. They both fantastic people.
I'm sorry, when that old lady loses it and tells her to shut the damn door.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, something happened to her that she basically, when, all of a sudden she lost her shit. That was, direction again, anyway. It was a fun day to shoot. Knowing that. And John Savage. Oh, what a legend. He's a legend. See, like these scenes in the uncut version will be longer, where he would go on to explain what happened. So the whole Wallace thing, like in the uncut version, it goes on for a whopping like 10 minutes. Not this, but I'm talking about the earlier part where he actually goes in every single detail of the hotel. So the guy with the head bent backward, who he is. So in the backstory, he's an Australian student who committed suicide. He jumped off the roof. His head got caught in one of the balcony. That's why Ben. So these are real life story, by the way. These are real events that happened, right? So in the backstory, so in the uncut version, he actually explained all that. He explained what happened to to Megan Kim, and all of that. But we just again, pacing reason, it was just way too long. And by the time that they got to the hotel, it was like 48 minutes when they get to the hotel. So we're like, okay, it doesn't work.
I'm telling you,
as a horror film.
Yeah.
I don't know. As a horror film, yeah, I get it. It's like some people would. Some people who actually got a chance to see the first cut, they're like, "Damn, I like the first cut more because it's more of a slow burn and is more character study, and they don't hate Mike as much because you see him dropping the bravado, right?" But again, when it comes down to releasing your films, test audience is everything, right? You test the audience to see a distributor too. They prefer a shorter version to get some more tickets. But again, I do like the version a lot. it moves well. The pacing is correct. But yes, I do miss the longer stretches of the slow burn version.
Yeah, I'd be very interested in seeing that someday. Hopefully that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it happens. If anything, I might even do a special with it. I might get the cast all back and film more.
Ooh.
Or be like, it's still Follow, but like I said, it's like the backstory of Follow. So it's the same version, but told in a different, in a different perspective, in a sense.
Mike's starting to break down now. I love this hallway too.
Yeah, we had to dim the lights down too because it's way too bright. So we had to dim the light down. In color correction, we actually had to turn down the exposure like so much in order to get the dark because otherwise
Really?
it's way too bright. It's way too bright. So.
Let's see. I have a question here. How did the MPAA process go? Any major things you had to cut?
No. Actually, we didn't. Like we tried to. We knew we were going to get an R rating anyway, and we were not trying to get a PG-13. So when we send it to them, they basically send notes back. It's like, hey, yeah, there's, violence is not necessarily there, but the reason they give us an R rating was because of the bad language, and that's it. So if we were to remove the bad language and one of the shots in the beginning of one of the dead bodies, with her eyes cut out, then we would maintain a PG-13 rating.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, no, I like an R just because it's just more authentic that way,
Mm-hmm.
to preserve that. But yeah, it's actually not as bad as I thought it would be, So no cuts needed.
Good deal.
So those, the two people in the background, the people that walk in by, those are all extras, by the way.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, they're not like people on the street that we gorilla shot up, but yeah, they're all part of the extras. That's all.
That's a cool
My
looking
favorite
lobby.
sequence is coming up. Well, my favorite sequence is going to be the chase sequence, but that's coming up. That's totally my homage to Paul Greengrass, the chase sequence. Yeah, I basically asked Todd because our writer, because in the movie what happens is they just, when they head back, they saw that, and then and then the masked man was waiting for them by the door or something like that. That was in the original screenplay, and I'm like, Todd, no, I want a chase sequence. Damn it, I want him to run between different floors. I just want an actual, action sequence. It's like, really, a running sequence? I'm like, yeah, it's my homage to Paul Greengrass. So make him run. I wrote in that on the different floors because originally we're just walking back. They did see the ghosts on the different floors and whatnot, but they were running from the mask. See the camera that you guys see on the floor? That is the prop camera that we never used it, or on the table. That's filming them on the other end.
Oh,
Cool.
See, so obviously, like any found footage films, like every shot needs to be explained. That's why, like all the different angles we have, I always would have another camera sit on the side. So for those, with astute eyes, it might go, "Hey, who filmed this one?" And I'll be like, "Okay, it's right there. Look at the camera. We have it planned."
Hayden is now demanding the uncut version. Just so you know.
there you go. Hashtag unfollowed uncut. We'll get that trending.
Followed uncut. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'll hopefully, like I said, if there's enough demand, I'll ask the distributor to consider it. But yeah, it's I'm not sure whether because it's last time I checked, it was 2 hours and 18 minutes on the uncut version. It's way too long for a horror film. And it's super long for a found footage film, right? Found footage, just imagine, guys, 2.5 hours worth of found footage. That's going to drive people nuts. So that's why I'm like, okay. So, so even the uncut version, I'm still going to recut it in a sense that, it would make sense. So, like I said, if there is enough interest, I might convince our distributor to do this. We'll see. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But if anything, I think the alternate cut is something that I think I'd be more willing to do. As an alternate cut. Alternate cut would be more like filming the entire film from the get-go again.
Yeah.
But same story and everything else, but you get to see more because it will not be found footage. It'll be like them going to the hotel, everything that happens behind the scenes. I actually would like to do that. Would love to do that. We got to get the okay from the distributor, the investors, and everything. So,
yeah.
Well, that's the great part about it is unfortunate times, but the film was available to an audience that may have not been there otherwise. So the film, the film made its money back. So that means people will trust you to make more, right? So
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I am making more. It's just my next immediate project won't be followed because I'm actually working on another one right now as we speak. I'm just in pre-production. Hopefully we'll shoot by the end of next year once the pandemic clears out, I guess. But yeah, it'll be an awesome, I cannot wait to to film that one instead. It's an action movie. Is very much in the vein of Kill Bill meets Drive.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
I can't wait to do it. It's very spaghetti western with Ennio Morricone music inspired in the back. Oof, I can't wait to do it. And John Wick style action as well.
Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Now, is this the scene you were talking about that you guys had to spend so much money to kind of close
the
street?
That's right here. Yep. That little sequence here costs us like, I don't know, like 40 grand? $45,000 more. I'm not sure. That scene, that right there, it just boom. It just cost.
How
so
long
much
did you get it for?
We can only get it for like maybe 45 minutes, and that's it. Because it's LA, and you shut down all that, right? And so basically everybody that you see there, these are all extras. These are all part of the crew, right? And even the cops are real cops as well. Not these ones; these are actors. But I'm talking about the cops on the street. They're real cops as well because they're blocking the street for us. But this is downtown LA, so shutting down downtown LA is never a good thing. Yep, that's it. Yeah. That 10 seconds right there costs us 40 G's. Jesus Christ.
That's why it costs so much to make movies.
Yeah, especially I think that's why found footage films are usually filmed in one location or in the woods.
Yeah,
and it's like, I just wanted to do it in a urban setting, a city, setting, and that's what's going to cost. But this is my favorite sequence to shoot. It was so much fun and it was so much frustration at once because if you guys see it, right, so this is the hallway here. This is the hallway from the nicer hotel. Okay, so walking, this is the nice hotel. You see the transition real quick. Nice hotel, then boom, the other hotel, the Hayward. You see how different it look, right? Just because it's a different hotel now. So this is the Hayward. It's still, you see the stairs, completely different. So there's still the other, the dirtier hotel. Then see, it was just so fun to shoot because we didn't shut people down because people were living there, so they're like, "What's going on here? Can you guys be quiet? Stop running!" It was so funny. So that back to the nice hotel, you see the floor and everything else. It looks different, right? Yeah. Because it's a nice hotel. So that's how we had to. So that was the challenge because I had to make sure that if they turn left in Hotel 1, then the angle would need to be shot from the right angle from the Hotel 2. So that was a nightmare to shoot. but it was so much
Oh
fun.
my gosh, that would be terrible.
Yeah, it was like because we had to keep like my mind. I had to race because we didn't have enough time either. So we're like, dude, I'm like, so after they were shot, I'm like, okay, Danny or Sam, did you guys make the left or right? Left, okay. That I told my script supervisor, make sure you put left on there. So we moved to a different hotel because the timing that we shot was like a week apart, right? So that's what we wouldn't remember. So we shot those scenes like 2 different occasions, like a week apart. So it was tough, but I think it was the challenge and how it was, and that's what made it so much fun. So I think that's my favorite shots in the entire movie. Next to the drone shots.
Right.
Oh, I forgot to mention it. Every time the security guard shows up, you would see that there's some random glitch that happens here and there, and that was because that was a clue that saying the security guard is not who he is, because he's possessed.
I did not pick up on that at all.
Ah, you'll see it. Well, there's a hidden ghost there, right? Boom, right there. You probably didn't see it. You have to pause it. So when the camera glitches, there's one hidden ghost. It's appearing in there. I call it the good ghost, right? So in the movie, we theorize that the scratching on the floor, scratching on the door or whatnot, that comes from a good ghost to warn them, right? So that's why he hears the scratch. That's why Mike comes in and save her, right? Because it was a good ghost that tried to save her, right?
I'm gonna have to go back and watch this like 15 times and pause and do all
Yeah.
that.
Well, a lot of we put the ghost into 2 frame, and in 2 frame, it's impossible for the human eyes to watch. To see, unless you actually, And again, the ghosts are not they're not clear ghosts. They're more like a silhouette, So it's really hard to tell. So, but yeah, it's like so. And then I know it's hard to tell, but if you look at the static angle of Mike looking there, it's likely tilted. So human eyes can't probably pick it up, but it subconsciously it should give you some sort of a weird anxiety-inducing feeling by just looking at that, right? So those are just little things that I put in there. I love filming Kelsey, play Jess on that. It's I literally the uncut version I broke her down so much because she cried like not good enough again. It was so funny, and by the end of it she broke down for real, and that's how I got the shot. And she's such a phenomenal actress. Love to work with her. Did you feel bad for Jess when you watched the scene?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was what I was trying to see. That was what I was going for. I wanted people to feel bad for her.
It seems like. Obviously you find out things later, but the whole time you're watching it, you're like, dude, just go home.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's more like to me, I think it's more the reason why I wanted the whole backstory of Mike being there, having been there before, is because to me it's like, yeah, no matter what, like if you were to put yourself in that scenario, even with money being on the line, would you do what he did? Going back to the basement. I would say, yeah, it takes a certain individual to do it, but most people probably wouldn't do it, no matter how desperate you are, right? It's not like, hey, you don't know anyone's going to die. But it's more like, if anything, it would be like, hey, all right, well, I'm just going to skip this. I'm just going to cheat and actually do, use a different basement, whatever, right? But it wouldn't go to such length. And the way that I theorized it is that, it has to be something more than material, which is something that's in you. Like like if you have a tragic past, the way that Drop the Mic did, part of him, it never healed. Part of him would need closure, right? And I think that is why he convinced himself that he need to go down to the basement. It just for disclosure of what happened.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I made of that. And anyway, so also this is actually one of my favorite shots. I know it's simple, it's not much, but I love this shot. And this is also our producer's favorite shot as well, because this is the first time that you see Drop the Mic holding a camera, right? You've never seen him holding a camera throughout the movie. Now, thematically, why I love this shot is because if you recall the whole movie, you are acting as a voyeur, right? There's somebody posting up the footage, you watching it, you watching Mike, they're all interacting with each other, the angles change, so you are the voyeur. But this is part where it switches from that angle and straight to Mike's only. To only Mike's POV for the duration for the rest of the movie, or at least for the basement, right? So basically, in a way, thematically speaking, it's more like, all right, so you guys, audience have been taking a step back as a voyeur, but now let's put the audience in Mike's shoes. That's why I love that sequence. I love the scene where he introduces it in a way that he shot himself in the mirror, and boom, we go from there. So so personally, that was one of my favorites because that is simple, but I love that shot. And yeah, it's like when the film that the shot that we did in the basement, that was actually filmed as one continuous uninterrupted cut. By the way, I know that the glitch effect, would probably say otherwise, because the glitch effect is there. So it's because we wanted to make it realistic. Because if you're in the basement, the static, the cameras would actually lose static. I mean, it would lose reception, and that's normal, and that's a way to use it. But part of me did not, part of me didn't want to use it because I'm like, man, we actually shot this as one uninterrupted take. It would be really cool to treat it as such. Because people will watch it and they would go, okay, yeah, and here they cheated from here. They cheated because they used the glitch to hide the cut. But no, that's not the case at all. We actually shot it as one uninterrupted take. Obviously, we did have hidden cuts in there, but you would not have been able to see it.
Yeah, there's no way I'd go into that basement.
And guys, like, and one thing that actually no, there are a couple of things, but one of the things that I if I had to do it all over again, if I could do it all over again, this is the sequence that I would not necessarily wanted to redo, but I wanted to complete, because originally what I had planned for the ending of this, for the basement, it's much more terrifying. We couldn't do it because two reasons. A, budget, right? Like it didn't allow. We didn't have enough money to do it, like better words. And second of all is because the hotel was shutting us down. They're like, okay, guys, you cannot shoot here any more minute. Boom, you're done. And the very next day, they were reconstructing the basement, so that's why they couldn't. So that's why we couldn't even come back the next day to shoot. But originally, I had planned it to be a lot more terrifying than what you guys are seeing. So
this was pretty darn terrifying itself. So.
Oh, thank you. But no, like I wanted people to shit their pants, right? Because what I had planned, like especially, and I'll probably save it for, another movie. But I had a plan so that it could be really terrifying on that. Like if we had a chance to shoot it. Because he wasn't supposed to run away right away. He wasn't supposed to be attacked by mannequins right away. He had to run around the basement. He had to be attacked by other shadows. He would climb a fence. He would be attacked by another ghost on there. He'll be seeing something that's like a foreshadow what's going to happen to his wife, So all of that was planned, but we just could not shoot it. And that was my biggest regret.
I love the length of this shot too, because it goes. You're expecting it, and okay, and it keeps going.
Right.
It really throws off like what you're expecting.
Thank you. Yeah, I tried to make it so that it's like build up, it doesn't release.
Yeah, so when it finally does, you're like, oh shit.
Right. I just wish we had more money. Honestly, we had what $8,000 more. I would have gotten my shot. Damn it. Lesson to learn for the next time. Like if I'm gonna not be able to get the last shot, I'll wait until I get the money before I do it. So that's my big learning lesson. This was all shot by our DP. Drop the mic was just he's just there to provide the voices. Yeah, but our DP is a genius. Like if you notice how when he walks up the stairs, the camera bobs, along with it. That's the DP, right? I love that guy. He's a great DP, and I'm definitely having him shoot my next film as well.
Awesome.
Sweet free MacBook.
Funny because that's what people were joking around too. Like two jokes that when we were on set, like, damn, like there's a free laptop there. People should take it. And the second joke was, this is bullshit because they're in the basement. How do they get internet access? To watch live. I'm like, look at the footage. It's not even it's not even generated or anything like that. This is fake. It's so funny.
The spirit world has excellent Wi-Fi, is what a lot of people don't know.
Exactly. Oh, you guys did realize that Tony is the security guard, right? I know a lot of people. And you do realize that like throughout the scene, like if you every time you catch Tony, every time except for one, he always has the notebook in his hand. When you watch it again, he always has it, even in the back. Even when like they walked into the hotel, you see the security guard in the back just reading his notebook, right? It's just so like we had all the shots there as well. So
see, I'm glad I watched this with you because I never put two and two that he gave him access to the basement for a reason. So
yeah, it's yeah, he was. Obviously the mystery is still like why, like what is his connection to that? And I guess the easiest explanation for now would be, the hotel got to him because there's something, ominous about the hotel that it influenced people to do shit.
What?
So that's
mannequin.
That dead body that you saw, that was supposed to be the previous bodyguard. I mean, the previous security guard.
Oh.
We never made it clear, but we implied that Tony killed the previous security guard to take his place.
See, I remember watching the movie the first time, and it mentions in like the news clip that there was a body found. I was like, who was that? What did I miss?
Yeah, exactly. That was the body of the previous security guard. Like I said, like a lot of the movies that I don't call it, hidden, but like like especially all those articles. If you guys see it again, like always pause, read the articles. The writer, our writer actually wrote every single one of those articles, right?
Oh, that's
Which
cool.
the articles tell the entire background, the story, what happens. So you get a chance to read it. I know that, like, in the movie, you're not supposed to read it because it's way too fast. But if you do watch it the second time, definitely check it out. It does provide a lot of background on the whole story. This was actually shot on location. We actually ran through Skid Row with the camera and do all of that. We were really fearful. We actually had another car following us. Our production team, just so that we wouldn't get mugged. Like people were looking, we're like, holy shit, there's a camera, because that is really dangerous. Like the homeless and all that, they all real, right? So. Here, you guys just running with an expensive ass cameras. The people were just right? So that's why we had another car following us to make sure. And this was actually a pretty, and to be honest, like this we shot this closer to the beginning of production, and it was one of my hardest days to shoot because believe it or not, I'm a big softie. I'm not. I hate it when movies don't have good endings or a happy ending, so to speak, right? So and at the time, my wife was pregnant as well, and you already know what happened, right? So it was really dark. Turn from Mike that his wife's dead, is unborn baby dead, and all that. So I didn't feel too good that day. Both myself and Matt, we didn't like it because we're like, man, do we have to really make this scene right now? Because it's dark, And the uncut version also, or the alternate cut version, also has a different style to it as well. Here, it glitches out and disappears. But on the uncut version, the guy actually dropped the head, tossed it out to Mike, and then he laughs as Mike cried. So that's the uncut version. You don't see him. You see him carrying the camera. You see whatever shadows carrying the camera, and he cries. He would laugh. The shadow would laugh, and then the shadow would pull away out of the door and close the door. That was the longer cut version. But we cut it for purposes.
You keep teasing me with this 2-hour cut, Antoine. I'm telling you.
I don't know. Eventually, what happened? I don't know. We'll see. I have all the footage, so. But I think the I'm more interested in making an alternate cut of the same story, but more background to it. I would certainly have a different ending to it. But, we'll see.
Here's a question. When you shoot a movie like this, it's all digital these days, right? How much data do you end up with? Like, what is the size of the hard drive? You keep
tetrabytes. I don't know, like 10 terabytes or 8 terabytes, like 2, 3, 4, 5 of those hard drives. I don't even keep it in my house. It's my editor or the producer keeps everything. We have stacks of that, stacks of those hard drives. And we shot a lot of guerrilla shots throughout LA. Like all these shots you see here, that is all just us driving around LA and capturing shots that I think would work with the scene. Yeah. So yes, there's a ton of them, and we always back up. So if any of you guys are like aspiring filmmakers, I'm telling you, man, but always back up your footage. Make 2-3 copies of it. We almost lost our footage as well. By the way, we almost did. And I think I told you guys that, right? Like our stuff get fried. In the backpack, which again, I would explain that as part of the paranormal thing. Like for real. Like all hard drives in the backpack, they got fried for no reason. Like literally no reason. All of them. Wow. It was just in my car when I was driving. It wasn't even hot. It was like during the fall, so it wasn't hot or anything like that. And hard drives don't get fried. How's it that they all get corrupted and fried? Those are unexplainable events, right? Yeah. And thank God we make like 2 copies of each. So we're like,
oh, thank God.
Otherwise, we would have missed it. Yeah.
I love how it starts again. By the way, we're going to the.
Yeah, it's because in real life, right? Like if you watch any like YouTube videos, when you at the end of it and you don't really click next, it goes back to the beginning. So we did pay attention to those little details to make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah. And Tyler really is terrible, let me tell you.
Yeah. I think his original name was something else, Tyler. I'm like, no, dude, let's name him Terrible Tyler.
He looks like those 13-year-old kids that you just want to like.
Exactly.
Like, where's your dad so I can go punch him?
Exactly. He's also a really funny guy and really awesome guy in real life as well. But I was giving directions like, look, whatever you do, I want to punch you in the face after you're done. You get the idea? He's like, yeah.
Now was the idea?
Sorry. Well, okay. Oh yeah. So here, see that wickedest man on earth, right? It says, so this is some fake ass shit. Right, you see that? And then somebody just commented, did you just update your blog with the missing third day? So those are clues to for people to know that these logs were actually uploaded before. The only thing that was not uploaded was the third day. So I know a lot of people would call it. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I caught that. Yeah. Follow,
Awesome.
Hey, that guy's here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
thank you guys for
everybody.
watching.
I'll
That
tell
was
you
fun.
what, it's an awesome movie. Thank you so much for being on with us to do this.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching along with me. And,
Definitely.
Can't wait for your
yeah,
next
hope you
project.
guys- yeah, can't wait to announce it and can't wait to shoot it and show us and show it off. It'll be a completely different style, but like I said, very much a mixture of Quentin Tarantino mixed with Drive, with mixed a little bit of John Wick and peppered on it with Mario Morricone, spaghetti western soundtrack. So that's what you guys can expect.
That sounds
I'm in.
I can't wait to just shoot it. Like we have the script. It was just so we're in pre-production for it right now. We're in casting as we speak. So can't wait. Can't wait, guys. Can't wait. And yes, there may be a possible director's cut that follow down the line.
Quit teasing
We'll
me,
see.
Antoine. Quit teasing.
We'll see how we'll see whether there's enough demand. Because like anything else, it's all about the demand. If there is enough demand for it, then I can prove it and show it to the distributor that said, "Hey guys, there's demand for it. Can you guys spend a little bit more money so that we can, do the uncut version?"
Well, I will be purchasing when the Blu-ray comes out. I already own it digitally, but I have to have a physical copy. So that's
Thank
one.
you.
We got one sold already.
No.
So,
I'll be buying one too,
I think our distributor would need like 10,000 more of those just to say, okay.
all right. Okay, here's the I can buy 3. That's my limit, Antoine.
Well,
That's
we'll
all I can
see.
do.
The way that I'm looking at it, well, the way that I'm looking at it is maybe after my next project, and if the next project is a big hit, that that could bring me into even a greater spotlight. Because you know how it is. Like if my next project is even a bigger hit, then that's when people take notice. And when people take notice, they go back into the old project and say, "Hey, I want to check out his first film." And that is when the distributor would go, "Okay, well, maybe now's the time to release the uncut version, right?" So that's how it works. So I get it. So I don't know. Maybe a couple of years down the line, or it may never happen. Who knows? But yeah, thank you guys for the enthusiasm and having me here and watching this.
Another one sold.
Really
Thank
is, man.
you, Cornelius Collection.
I'll just get on here and just hawk them weekly, right? They'll just be, all right, people, we got a goal to hit here.
Well, I want to thank everybody that watched tonight and everybody that might watch in the future. And if you're new to this channel, we're the Smores and Doors podcast. Myself and Jonathan here, Mr. Bombastic, and we do a new podcast every 2 weeks, an audio version, and you can find that at smoresanddoorspodcast.com. We're kind of on hiatus right now with that, but we'll be back early January, and our first episode then will be an interview with Angelo Pizzo. He's the writer and producer of the movies Rudy and Hoosiers. And Hoosiers is actually celebrating its 35th anniversary next year. So hope you guys check that show out. And we got some stuff coming up here on the YouTube channel as well. Coming up Sunday night, we're doing another live commentary, and we'll be joined by the Triple Flicks Mafia guys from their YouTube channel, where we'll be doing a live commentary of Christmas Vacation and a snack taste test. And then, as you saw before the show, on December 12th, we'll be back for episode 2 of the Hot Pepper Challenge, where we will eat the Serrano pepper. So check those shows out for sure, coming up here on the YouTube channel. And Jonathan, Jonathan, you are giving away some Blu-rays on your channel. I want you to.
I am. All you have to do is go onto my channel, go to my latest video, which is my Blu-ray giveaway. I got a lot of good films in there. I just realized they disappeared off my desk, so I hope my wife didn't put them back in my collection. But yeah, ton of good titles in there, guys. Just a thank you for helping me get to the subscriber goal and for supporting the channel and allows us to do things like this with Mr. Lee. And we appreciate it.
Antoine, anything else that you want to kind of hype up for fans of this movie and anything else?
Well, nothing. Just thank you guys for enjoying the movie, watching it, and your comments and everything else. Appreciate it. If you guys do watch a movie again, like I said, try to catch all these secrets that I mentioned, especially just pause the movie. Here and there, to get a bigger story of the whole universe on there. And yes, we are working on a sequel for that. Like I said, the it's all about the story. We have the general story, mapped out for the sequels. But we're still trying to find a direction from the standpoint of, should we still make it found footage? Should we make it a mix between the two, or what should we do with it?
Ooh,
right. So that's probably and I might not even return as director. I might just stand back as a producer. I'm not depending on my schedule, and it also depends on whether or not I think I can bring something new to the genre. But yes, my next movie is probably going to be shot by the end of next year. God willing, or when the pandemic is over, and that I cannot wait to shoot. That's
awesome.
Yeah, guys. Thank you. And my Twitter, which I just joined, and my manager said I should always mention this, but my Twitter is Antoine16 over Twitter, and I barely get a few followers. That's about it, because I'm completely brand new at it. I think it's pretty fun. I see now why people actually use this social media. I just haven't done it a lot. Yeah, go follow me. That's how I'm going to be updating the majority of the projects.
Awesome. Sounds great. Again, thank you so much for doing this. It was a blast, and found out some awesome little behind the scenes tidbits, about the movie. So that was great. So, guys, again, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Central, we'll be back here with our Christmas vacation live commentary. So I hope you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you are updated for all our upcoming shows. So, Antoine, thank you. Jonathan,
thank you, guys.
And thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Mr. Bombastic.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for watching tonight.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys.